Hello buddy, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the new runes on the PBE for League of Legends. I'm the Strategy Professor. So they just updated these, I think yesterday, 9/25. I was super sick yesterday. Still feeling a little weird today, but we're gonna push through and try to cover some of this because I know people want to sort of hear my thoughts about it. I did do a link to the PBE runes from about 3 weeks ago, and that has in-depth sort of rune by rune predictions for what I think will be strong and what I think won't. So be sure to check that out. I'm not going to rehash all of that here really quickly. I'm just going to give sort of an overview of what's going on now and then who I think might be the biggest rune winners and losers. Keep in mind that a lot of this is subject to change and will change over time. So if some stuff looks imbalanced, then it's likely it will change by the time it gets released, or certainly by the time Season 8 starts in January. Okay, so let's go ahead and look through here. Now, unlike the other video, it does actually show sort of how you get to these runes. So when I did the last rune page, I was just looking at the runes in the abstract, but I wasn't looking as much at... they didn't have as much information about how you build down specific paths. So certain runes looked really cool. We didn't know what you'd have to do to access those runes. Let's just real quick kind of go over sort of what are the runes, what's going on with them. What do I think about them, and then just like what are some good combinations. So precision, I would say this is up there. This is one of the top trees for sure for 80 carries. It's garbage for everybody else, I think. One thing they tried to do with each one of these runes is they tried, or like rune paths, so they tried to make it applicable to a bunch of different roles. I'm not sure about that design decision. Like they want, you know, potentially every single role in the game to run every single path. That's just too difficult to balance, I feel like, and you know, it makes some of these rune pages very, very lackluster for certain roles. Like, obviously, this is the 80 carry role. It's an attack speed role, or maybe, like, attack speed junglers or something like that. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Attacking the same target grants bonus attack damage between 1.5 to 4. So if you just keep attacking something, then you're going to get an extra, you know, a little bit of attack damage, right? So you might get 3... 6, 9, 12. It's okay. It's pretty good. You have to get a lot of attacks to really get a significant bonus in there. Now this one is the borderline overpowered one. And they have nerfed this since I originally made the video. And I think this is almost literally what I said they should do with it. It originally said it gave like 60% attack speed always after damaging a champion. And it lasted 10 seconds. And I think I said on the original video, that's ridiculous. They need to make it scale on level, and it should probably go from like 30 to 80 or 90. And they should probably cut the time down to like 6 seconds. And that's exactly what they did here. So they definitely brought this back to something a little more reasonable, so you can't just get 60% at level 1 when you attack somebody. But still, 30% is really high, and 80% is also... pretty high. I mean, in terms of just raw gold value, if you want to think of the value of some of these runes, some of them are hard to quantify, but I mean, if you're starting to talk about even 30 attack power, or attack speed, 12% attack speed is 300 gold if you buy a dagger. So you got 25 gold per attack speed times 30. You're starting off with 750 gold. That's like over 2 kills worth of gold off of just one rune at level 1 when you trade with people. So it's pretty gross. And then when you get to 80, near the end of the game, it's 2,000 gold worth of stats. So this is probably, if it's not the most overpowered rune still, it's very close. And it does have a 6-second cooldown. But you can switch it to any champion as well. So just damaging a champion. So you can switch targets with this one. So this is definitely what you want to take. Now this one is, if you switch targets, you only keep half your stack. So you have to keep attacking the same target. So there's just very little reason to ever take this one over this one. Because champions that want really heavy AD instead of attack speed are going to be burst champions. And so they're not going to be sitting there and auto-attacking a lot. The champions that want to auto-attack a lot and get kills are going to want attack speed almost universally. So... this one, you get energized attacks. That's just like Warlords right now. It heals you for a small amount and grants you attack speed. Yeah, there's no universe where you take this over this, I don't think. This is like, you have to take this. This is the whole reason to go into this tree. So that's okay, but you got to take this one. Okay, this is pretty bad. This is kind of what balances it out. Is like this tree's pretty bad, and like one or two of these down here are pretty bad. But this is still just so good. Lethal tempo. Extra healing on you. Now, it's not healing that you heal other people. This is what some people were confused about with my other video. Overheal is healing on you. So, like, you don't apply this bonus to other people when you're Soraka. Okay, you get this bonus yourself when you're like Mundo. Alright, so 50% of excess healing becomes a shield. From allies, 50% excess healing is converted instead. Okay. Yeah, so if an ally does heal you, if you are Mundo, you get 50% of the excess healing is converted. That's pretty bad. I mean, like, I just don't think you'd use this for tanks, and this is obviously for tanks down here. I mean, I guess you could use this. I don't know. It seems really out of place. This restores 15% of your missing health. Not total health, missing health. And grants you an extra 25 gold. It's okay. It's not great. Now, this one's okay. While below 60% of your mana, your basic attacks build up focus up to 5. Upon exiting combat, all focus is converted into mana. So I'm not sure, it doesn't say how much mana you get, but basically when you attack people, if you're low on mana, it starts giving you more mana when you leave combat. So that's pretty good for maybe for laners that really want to use mana, like Sivir or Varus, Jhin. Champions like that in lane could benefit from that, so that's all right. This is, you get this legend mechanic where you do a bunch of different stuff and you get points, and then eventually you get, it's basically stacks. You'll take Alacrity. So whenever you kill a champion, you get 20 points. Whenever you kill an epic monster, you get 20 points. 4 points for large monsters and 1 point for minion kills. It's kind of an odd mechanic, but, you know, near the end of the game, you can get up to like 20% extra attack speed, so that's okay. And then this is alright. Deals 5% damage to champions below 40%. 8% champions, depending on how much more health they have than you. That one's pretty good. And then deal 5% when you're below 80% total health. So usually as an 80 carry, you're going to be trying to crack into tanks. So I would think cut down would be where you'd go, but... okay, so that's all their major ones. And we'll talk about pairing them up with other ones soon. So if you get any other... If you go for the Precision Inspiration, you get 18% extra attack speed at level 1 and beyond, and you get 12% for the other ones. They give you extra bonuses for Inspiration for some reason. But anyways, that's Precision. Let's go ahead and look at Domination. This one's okay. I think Resolve is the worst one. I think either Precision or Sorcery are probably the best ones. And then either Inspiration, probably Domination, then Inspiration. Inspiration's a good, it's good on some champions. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think that just overall, in terms of raw power, Precision and Sorcery are the best. I think Sorcery's probably the best, and Precision's still pretty good. So if I had to rank them 1 to 5, I was forced to, we'd go Sorcery, Precision, Domination, Inspiration, Resolve. Resolve's definitely the worst, I think. Okay. So Domination, this is basically your Thunderlords from 50 seconds to 25 based on level. Pretty good damage, 3 unique attacks or abilities. So a single spell can't proc it anymore like a Morgana W. You have to hit them with different attacks and abilities. That's okay. Now, this is one that I talked about in my PBE that I think is pretty good. You have to have boots to get it. But you channel for 3 seconds, you get 45% movement speed for 15 seconds. Now, nothing slows this. That's what I talked about before also. If they crowd control you or apply a slow to you or anything, it's not going to stop this bonus movement speed. You have it. And whenever you damage somebody, you deal extra bonus damage. Has a 180-second cooldown, and it starts the game on cooldown. And it can be interrupted while you're channeling. So you can't do it in combat. You have to do it while you're outside of combat to go hunt somebody down. So obviously this is great for junglers. I think this is kind of designed to be like a jungler path to some extent. Yeah, and just like Rammus or Hecarim, or really just anybody who comes rolling up out of the jungle going, you know, ghost speed or whatever, 45% for 15 seconds, is going to lead to some pretty nasty ganks. So I think this is the main reason you would take this tree, and it's probably only if you're a jungler. Thunderlords, Electrocute or whatever, maybe. I could see mid laners getting this and then getting a Sorcery as their second, but... Okay, this is the warding stuff that we talked about before. Zombie ward's the same. You'll take this every time. They actually nerfed Ghost Poro quite a bit, which sucks. So basically, now you have to channel when you're in a bush, so they're going to know if you're dropping a ward in it. And if they go in the bush, then not only does it remove the Poro, it puts it on a 30-second cooldown. Now, I thought the other thing was, I thought that if they scared away a Poro, you could just drop it in another bush before. And I was like, well, maybe there might be some reasons you could use it, but no, it's not going to be that great. I mean, maybe. Like, this would be like if you're an invading jungler and you just always want to have a ward up in their jungle. So you just set this in the bush every now and then, but I don't like that you have to channel. Now, I don't know how long you have to channel either, but it's maybe. I mean, you might get it on some junglers. Like I said, invade junglers like in Italy, Ezreal, that type of stuff. You might see this, but it's going to be pretty rare. This is pretty bad. Gain 2 ability power and 1.4 attack damage whenever you get a takedown on a champion. That's okay. I mean, takedown means kill or assist now, is what they're saying. So that could be pretty good to some extent. I still think zombie ward's almost always the best. And then you have cheap shot. Now this has a really good combo with some other abilities that we'll talk about here in a second. The glacial whatever augment. But basically, damaging champions with impaired movement or actions deals 12 to 30 bonus true damage based on level. It's got a 4-second cooldown. Okay. So every 4 seconds. So this is good for like trading in lane. It'd be pretty bad in a jungle. Heal whenever you damage any champion. Okay, so this is like the I forgot what that thing was called. Fresh blood or something. In the left mastery tree. So it's okay. It's not great. Sudden impact using a dash, leap, or blink gives you 5% damage against champions for the next 3 seconds. That's all champions. That's not just the first champion that you hit or anything. So that's pretty good, and that doesn't have a cooldown either. So that could be really good on champions that have a lot of dashes, like an Akali or I'm trying to think, like an Echo, Kassadin maybe. So that's okay. Then down here, okay, so you need a takedown on unique champions to get this. So you can stack it up to 5 times. You get extra healing, damage dealt by your abilities, so not auto attacks, just abilities. Genius Hunter, CDR, that's actually really good. You can get up to 31% item CDR, which we'll talk about in a little while. And then up to 48 out of combat movement speed, which is also really powerful. So that's what you'll probably get as a jungler. So it's alright, it's got some decent stuff. Sorcery, now this is the one that's overpowered. And it's not just because like the first couple of runes aren't that great, it's these secondary runes that are ridiculous. So I think a lot of times, the keystones are good too, but a lot of times if you go for another tree, like Sorcery is going to be the most popular secondary tree, just so you can grab the basic runes. So we have Airy. This was Perksy. I like the name Perksy better, but they named it Airy. So damaging attacks and abilities send Airy to a target, damaging or shielding allies. So if you damage somebody, you get 10 plus 40 attack damage, and if you shield somebody, you get 40 to 100 based on whatever. Now this has a very, very low cooldown. I looked at it in the video, and it's only like 3 seconds or something, so it's kind of like Pix. It's like 3 or 4 seconds. So if you have a spell, if you have a champion like a Soraka or a Sona who can heal somebody, every 3 seconds or so, then this is a spammable shield. And that's a lot. I mean, think of like even a big shield like a Janna shield for 240. When you're shielding for an extra like 100, that's like basically 25% plus healing and shielding that has an AP ratio on it. So that's pretty massive. So Airy is definitely going to be the go-to for any kind of utility support. I mean, especially on someone like Sona, because you can use the damage portion early in the game and then also transition to use the shield portion later. So she's definitely pretty good. Arcane Comet. Now, the thing to note about this is this has a much lower cooldown than Thunderlords. So it's only 20 to 8 seconds. And it just basically throws a comet at him, does pretty decent damage. whenever you hit them with an ability. So it does allow them to dodge it, but it's okay. I mean, I think people will use this a decent amount. It's all right. And then Phase Rush, hitting an enemy champion with 3 unique abilities. This is basically, I'm blanking out on the name of it. It already exists in the game. So you hit them with 3 unique abilities. Now the difference is the current version of the Storm Raider Surge. The current version, you have to deal like, I think 60% or 40% of their health to do this. This you just have to hit them with 3 unique abilities. So for some champions this will be good, for some it'll be bad. So you don't have to do a lot of damage if you just crowd control them. So just boom, boom, crowd control, auto attack. You know, just go in with Leona, E, Q, auto, and then you get your speed. So you get a lot of movement speed, you get a nice duration, and a nice cooldown reduction. So this would be really good for engaged champions, engaged tanks that want to get in there, do their crowd control, and then get out. Like a Leona, Nautilus, maybe even Braum. Something like that. I guess Braum doesn't really need to run, but it's okay. You'll definitely see some champions running that. Over here, when you drop down to 30% health, you basically get a shield that blocks a decent amount, 30 to 120. It's got a 60-second cooldown. That's pretty good if you're kind of going into an all-in, or it's kind of to help you against assassins if you're like a Sona or a Soraka. This will give you some nice little assassin protection, so that's pretty good. It's helpful. Mana flow band, 60 seconds. These feel really long, though. It feels like this should be 30 seconds, and this should also be like 30. Your next ability is free, and you get 10% of your missing mana, which is pretty big. I mean, like, that's a Sona W would be like almost 100 mana, and then 10% back would probably be, you know, 50 mana or something when you use half your mana bar, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good mana management. Ultimate Hat. This feels really lackluster, but it could be pretty good. I mean, it's up to 15% cooldown reduction on your ultimate. So I think if you don't believe you're going to get assassinated a lot, this is probably what you'd go for. That's pretty powerful. Now, this is where it starts getting crazy. We start looking at this absolute focus. When you're above 70% health, you gain up to 40 ability power. Now, it's based on level, but 870 gold. It's not bad for a minor rune. 8% of your bonus movement speed to your AD or AP. I don't know. I guess if you go like Boots of Swiftness and like maybe with a Janna passive plus this, you know, you could get to like 100. So you'd get like 8 extra ability power. It just seems really lackluster. This one gives you 10% CDR when you reach level 10, and every CDR over the amount would be pretty good. So that's okay. This is unequivocally the best. So this is what you have to get. It's absurdly powerful. And then these are really powerful too. So you've got this, Gathering Storm. At the, you know, 20-minute mark, 24 AP is quite a lot. 522 gold value, and then it just gets higher and higher as it goes. So a lot of games are going to go till about 30 minutes. So at some point, you're going to get, you know, the 48 ability power. So this is good for scaling into the late game. I like water walking a whole lot as support, because it gives you an extra 25 movement speed along rivers, and then whenever you're in a river fighting, then you get up to 30 ability power. So that's really strong, because a lot of the fights, as the game goes later, anyways, are going to happen in rivers. It's going to be you baiting Baron, or doing Baron, or baiting Dragon, or doing Dragon. Those are going to be the main focal points of fights. So I think ultimately that's going to be a really good one too. So great choices here, just great, well-rounded tree, lots of power in it. So I think it's, if it's not the best, it's certainly close for a lot of champions. All right, let's look at Resolve. Grasp the Undying is basically the same thing. Deal damage equal to 3%. Heal you for 1.5%. And you permanently gain 5 health. So that's something new. So this will be pretty good for top laners, I think. Who just want to constantly fight. Now for ranged champions, you only gain 2 health. So it's all right. You'll still see tanks get it top lane. It's pretty good. Obviously not really a thing for supports most of the time. Guardian, right-click on allied champion, places A guard. Before you or that ally would take damage, you're both granted a shield for 2.5 seconds. Okay. And it's a pretty good shield. So it's bigger than Perksy's shield, but it's on a 45-second cooldown. Or Airy shield. It's on a massive cooldown. Airy is on a 3-second cooldown and gives, you know, like a 100 shield or something. This is on a 45-second cooldown and only gives a 250 shield. So it's alright. You also have to set it up. You have to walk into melee with them and charge it. Yeah, so you have to predict when they're going to take the damage because it places a guard for 3 seconds. And it goes down to 6 seconds if you don't do it. So yeah, it just requires so much setup. Like you have to get over there next to them, charge it, predict when they're going to do the damage. It's okay. I mean, for a peel or tank, maybe like a Braum or something, obviously this is what you would get. But I feel like a lot of champions, if it's an engaged champion, you know, if you're a Nautilus or a Leona or something like that, you're going to be like too far away from your AD carry to matter. I mean, I guess you could put it on someone else in a fight, but it's alright. It just feels kind of gimmicky. Okay, so this is basically your new Courage of the Colossus. So you gain current armor and magic resist by 10 plus 30%. Okay, so it's not bonus magic resist, it's total. Then you deal damage. Okay, so you deal like a decent little chunk of damage. Now, the problem with this is those resistances are nowhere close to being as powerful as a shield that you get off of Courage of the Colossus. So, yeah, I mean, getting a little bit of extra, like, you know, magic resistant armor is good, but that's not going to match like a 200 damage shield or something that you would get off of Courage. So, this is definitely a downgrade on Courage. Now, you do get that little bit of extra damage if you stick around. I mean, it's alright, but this is really weak. I feel like those 3 choices are very weak compared to some of the other top tier choices out there. Whenever you cast a summoner spell, you gain 25% tenacity and slow resistance for 10 seconds. That just seems awful. Demolish. This is actually really good. Charge up a powerful attack against a tower. So when you're close to a tower for 4 seconds, you deal 375 bonus damage plus 20% of your max health. Now, the cooldown is 60 seconds, but I could definitely see using this in lane to just go up and just help spike down a tower. I mean, you could run this with, like, AD carry and the support as a secondary role. So you could pick Aftershock as one of your secondaries, and then you could just both roll up, you know, every 60 seconds and just crack the tower for, you know, 750 damage plus a little bit more. So that could be really good for tower pushing strats. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful. This is your Bond of Stone. It's basically the same thing. Pretty garbage unless you're trying to trigger Ardent Sensor on a champion that doesn't have a heal or a shield. So that's alright, but Demolish is really good. That's okay, I guess. Gain 6 armor, magic resist. All of those are fairly weak. It's alright, though. Every 10 monsters or enemy minions that die near you permanently increase your max health by 0.2%. Really? Like, every wave and a half, I'm gonna get, like, 2 health. Or something if I have 1,000 health. That, very uninspiring. Okay, now this would be good on supports. You get the extra 5% heals and shields. Increased by an additional 10% when someone's below 40% health. So that's pretty good. The problem is just the rest of this tree is garbage. So you would get this as like a secondary on a healer. You could get it as a secondary with Demolish. You could run Sona with Sorcery and then go Demolish plus Revitalize. Could be decent. You would lose out on Zombie Ward and the item activatable from the red tree, but you know, if you're on a fast push team, that might be something you could do. After taking damage from an enemy champion, heal for 4% of your missing health over 10 seconds. That'd be like a decent top laner stuff if you want to combine that with Grasp of the Undying. That would give you some pretty good like trading power in top lane, so that'll be all right. I mean, you'll see top laners, they'll use this tree. It'll be okay. I just feel like it's lackluster compared to a lot of the other ones. But yeah, you could use it as a secondary and go for Demolish plus Revitalize bot lane. That might be okay. Now, Inspiration kind of has the weird stuff in it. There's one that they haven't come up with yet. Now, this one actually is deceptively really powerful. I thought this thing was going to be garbage, but thinking about it a little bit more, it's actually could be really strong in the right circumstances. Basically, basic attacking a champion slows them for 2 seconds. And you can hit each person, like different people, and slow all of them, and it only has a 6 to 3 second cooldown, depending on level. And the slow increases strength over its duration. So it doesn't fade away or stop, it actually increases. So range attack slow by 25 to 40%. And then melee slows for a little bit more. So slowing a champion with active item shoots a freeze ray through them, freezing the ground for so long. 5 seconds, slowing all enemies by 50%. So I don't know about that item active. It's okay. I mean, I guess you could use it with like, trying to think of that whatever that item that nobody gets hardly. The Hex Tech. Whatever, the trash item, the Hex Tech. But you could use this with something like Frost Queen's Claim also, and then both of those ghosts would shoot freeze rays. I don't know. That part's a little gimmicky, but just the fact that your basic auto attack on such a low cooldown slows somebody for quite a bit for 2 seconds makes it a lot easier to hit skill shots. And that's the key. Also, it interacts with Leandries very well. So if you auto attack, so the main person I'm thinking of here would be like Brand, potentially, because you can just auto attack them with Brand. It slows them down. That's basically a guaranteed you're going to hit them with your W if you slow them. And you know, you might even be able to hit them with your stun. So if you walk up, slow them, and there's no minions in the way, you can just EQ, and it's going to be extremely hard for them to dodge when they're that slow, unless they have like a dash. So I think this could be like oppressively really good on Brand. Pretty good on someone like Nami, because you can just walk up, auto attack them, and then you're automatically going to hit your bubble after you auto attack them, basically. Unless once again they're a Vayne or an Ezreal or something, they have a dash. If they don't have a dash, they're going to get hit. So I think that could be really nasty with some combinations. If you run like Nami Jhin or something, run Nami, auto attack, land the bubble, Jhin gets a free W, and then you just run them down and kill them. But yeah, Brand seems like the best. It'd be pretty good on Zyra too. But Brand has like the most punishing combo of any like major bot laner down there, where if you land that stun on somebody, it's gonna hurt big time. So I think, and there's also, like I said, combos with Leandries. So if you auto attack somebody and you build Leandries first, then it's gonna give you that full damage when you get the rotation on them. So that's actually potentially really good on certain champions and certain matchups that want to hit skill shots bot lane. Trying to think of other combos too. I mean, obviously, like if you were to run something like Lux or Morgana or something like that, it'd be a really good combo too. These are kind of weird. This is the one where if your flash is on cooldown, then you can like leap forward for 2.5 seconds. Or you charge it for 2.5 seconds, you get to dash forward. So once again, this would be good on someone like Brand, where you can just pop out of a bush, auto attack somebody, and then just get your full stun rotation on them. So that could be pretty powerful. Obviously on someone like Annie or Fiddlesticks, that'd be really good. Particularly Annie, because she doesn't have to charge. So Annie's like the best, you know, marquee champion for this. But it could be good on some other champions too. I mean, I guess like flashing forward with this and then like into a Thresh Flay or into a Thresh Hook or something. Thresh should be another really good one for this, because you can just walk up and auto attack them, and it's almost guaranteed you're going to hit them with a Flay Hook. So like flashing out of a bush with this, auto attacking, then Flay Hooking could be pretty good. So this tree would be pretty good for Thresh. Because he can't really use like Perksy or Meteor that well. Like it's okay. And some of that other stuff from the Sorcery tree. So I think this would be a good one for Thresh. Biscuit Delivery. You get 4 biscuits. You basically get 160 mana, which is worth about 200 gold, something like that. It's alright, I guess. 15% of your missing health. That's weird. And this, if you're going to go for Azonias... Oh, it actually applies to Gargoyle Stoneplate now, which is pretty cool. So you can basically, it gives you 600 gold off of Azonia's Hourglass. So if you want to rush that like second item or something, I talked about this in my PBE video. It could be decent. On a lot of champions, probably not. So I think this would probably be the main thing here. Futures Market, they haven't buffed this at all. It's a cool concept, but it's just too weak, I think. 5 per minute, I think that's what it was before. Yeah, so at 10 minutes, you can get 50. 200 gold debt limit. 50 gold. I mean, if you want to go all in early, it would let you get, you know, a couple more biscuits or something if you really want to trade hard early on. But I think it's very niche. I don't think you'll get it that often. Now, this is weird. I think this could be something that would be good on 80 carries or just anyone who kills minions in lanes or top laners. Get 6 minion Sojourners. I'm not sure what those are that kill and absorb lane minions instantly. Minion Sojourners are on cooldown for the first 155 seconds of the game. Okay, so the first 2.5 minutes. So basically it sounds like you just pop these things out. It doesn't say they have a total cooldown. It just says they're on cooldown for the first little bit. And they come out and they instantly kill a minion. And killing a minion increases your damage by 4% against that type of minion. And an extra 1% for each additional minion of that type absorbed. So basically how I read this is it gives you a ton of pushing power. So if you get this early on and you make the like you hit melee minions with it or something, then all of a sudden you can get up to somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 extra damage to melee minions, which would give you a lot of extra pushing power. So I think that could be pretty good, especially for top laners that just want to split push a lot, so you can just kill those waves even faster. Decent option. Respectable. This is not that good. This is actually pretty good. You get free boots, which is 300 gold worth of value at 10 minutes. And it's 50 less gold to upgrade the boots. So it's 350 gold value. And you get plus 10 movement speed, which I don't know exactly how much that's worth, but it's pretty good. So you get like 400 gold value off of this. That's pretty good for a minor rune. Get 100 extra health. That's 266 gold worth of power. But you lose 5 damage, 5% damage to minions. It's okay, or to champions. That's all right. 10% move speed when you're moving nearby allies that are crowd controlled or enemies that I have crowd controlled. It's pretty weak. And then this is just your standard 5% cooldown on everything. That's pretty good. So it includes summoner and items. So if you get this item cooldown, plus you get the red item cooldown for 31%, then you get Ruby Sightstone. That's like another 20% there. You know, you can get somewhere around like 60% cooldown on your Locket and Redemption. As long as they stack additively, which I think they do. So yeah, I'd probably just go with this one. So yeah, basically Glacial Augment, very good in some circumstances. This is pretty good with certain champions. This could be okay. So overall, it's a pretty good tree. I don't think it's the worst tree. I think it just depends. I mean, a lot of these are good in different circumstances. So let's talk about some of the circumstances really quickly. Okay, so AP supports are going to be really strong. Talked about all of this. So like a good combo you can do with Sorcery, if you're running an AP support. I mean, yeah, you probably wouldn't run Perksy. You could, but unless you can really spam stuff a lot, probably not Perksy. Arcane Comment would be better. So you'd run like Arcane Comment, ulti hat, focus, either Gathering Storm or Water Walking. I like Water Walking because it helps you roam better. But you do lose some damage off of that. Probably go with Water Walking. And then combo it up with Zombie and probably Relentless Hunter. Because you're not going to have a lot of CDR on AP supports. So that's pretty good. The other one that I mentioned before is you could run for the Glacial build path. So you would go, if you're on like Brand or Zyra, this might actually be more, like even stronger for AP supports than the one that I just mentioned in Sorcery. So you'd go for Glacial. Now you don't have any damage on this. So it's just strictly so you can hit skill shots better. So I'd probably go for that. Contraption. Footwear. Cosmic Insight. And then you have a choice. Like, you can go for the Zombie Ward if you want. And the other one, remember, you're not going to, like, get... Well, here's the thing. Okay, so if you go Zombie Ward and then you go Cheap Shot, Impaired Champions take an extra 12 to 30 bonus true damage. So, like, getting extra 15 true damage early on with Glacial Augment's really, really good. And it's on a 4-second cooldown. It's basically every 5 seconds if you auto-attack somebody, you're dealing an extra... 15 true damage on your auto, in addition to slowing them and setting them up for skill shots. That's really good for trading early on. That's definitely a powerful, like, early game combination if you just want some super early game aggression. Other option would be to go for the Sorcery tree and then pick up those two overpowered Absolute Focus and Water Walking early on. So you would just go Glacial, then you don't even worry about Cheap Shot and Zombie Ward, and then just go for something like this. So that could be another one that would be a pretty decent little combination for AP supports. And yeah, remember the thing there is you almost always are going to have a much better time landing skill shots whenever you hit somebody with that Glacial. So I think that could be pretty powerful. Yeah, and then AD carries. This is gonna, like, this is one of the strongest ones I've talked about before. It's pretty ridiculous. You just get lethal tempo for all that extra attack speed. Probably presence of mind for a little bit more mana in lane. Alacrity. And I think cut down, and then you would go over to Sorcery, grab Absolute Focus, and either Gathering Storm or Water Walking. Because remember, these aren't just AP, they're also AD. So it can give you up to 28 extra attack damage, and here this would give you up to, at 30 minutes, 36 extra attack damage. So that would be what AD carries would probably run with, and that'd be super powerful. So that's one of the best combinations out there. I think, so you can't get Glacial Augment as a secondary here, because that's the keystone. If you could get that as a secondary, that'd be really strong, but no, you have to pay your whole keystone for it. Yeah, I can't even really think of anything other than Sorcery to get there. Alright, and of course utility supports are still going to be pretty strong. So you've got a build for them. You grab Airy, of course, really good. Your Ultimate Hat. Then just those two, of course, and then Zombie plus Ingenious over here. So this will give you the extra ward control, and then this gives you up to 31% item CDR. So if you get Locket, Redemption, Mikhail's, just anything that has an item activatable on it, that's going to be really strong. So that's a pretty good overall balance. You get a lot of extra scaling with your AP and AD here. You get more ultimates, and then you get Perksy, who's very strong, plus Zombies, plus Ingenious. So I suspect utility supports are still going to be really strong. If the Glacial is really good and lets Brand hit his skill shots more, Zyra hit those skill shots more, then AP supports might be making a comeback. And tanks are just kind of left out to dry again, I think. I mean, I think the Resolve tree is pretty weak overall. But, I mean, we'll see. Maybe they change it up. Maybe they make it a little bit better. I mean, another one you could do here that I kind of mentioned before is if you go for the Resolve tree, you don't really care about the zombie ward, you're not going to be getting a lot of item activatables, something like that, then you could go for Demolish to help you take that first tower faster. It doesn't. This works with ranged attacks too. You put this on someone like Sona or, you know, whatever. Now you have to stay close to a tower for 4 seconds, so that's kind of dangerous to stand that close for 4 seconds, but it would help you crush towers down faster, then you could go Revitalize. So you could go Resolve plus Revitalize if you want to do that, if you don't care about zombie wards and the other one. That's another path that could be pretty decent. It's pretty respectable. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I didn't want it to be too long, but there's just a couple of things that I came up with there. So just see what you think. They're going to be changing over time. But yeah, the most powerful ones, like I mentioned before, I think the Precision Tree on 80 carries is going to just be really, really good on them. Resolve is probably the most lackluster one. Glacial Augment's pretty good. Oh, I didn't even mention the Summoner. I think this is overrated, the Summoner swap one. It's cute. I mean, I guess you could go Ignite, Exhaust early on, and then go back and switch it out. So it's every 6 minutes you get a Summoner Shard. So basically you can switch a Summoner every 6 minutes. And you gain your first Summoner Shard at 2 minutes. Yeah, so you can only switch one out. So yeah, I mean, you could go something like Ignite early and then switch over to Teleport, or you could go Ignite Exhaust and then switch over to Teleport and teleport back to lane. You know, but it does keep the same cooldown as before, so if your Teleport's on a 5-minute cooldown and you switch it over to Ignite, the Ignite's still going to be on a 5-minute cooldown when you switch it over. So I think that that's, people have been saying that's overpowered. It's not, it's just weird, but it's not overpowered. The Glacial Augment is not overpowered, but it's very strong in the right hands, I think. So, anyways, that's going to be it. Thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed this little preview here. Like I said, not a ton has changed from the PBE. They did nerf a couple of things a little bit. Like they nerfed Lethal Tempo, but still not enough. It's still super powerful. And I think they lowered Perksy a little bit. Or Airy as they now call her, but she's still really good. So anyways, that's it. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.